Ralph here, and welcome to True Power Trumpet Fitness here on wonderful Wednesday here in Connecticut. And it is a wonderful Wednesday. We got double C's, don't we? Anyway, let's get right to it. You saw the thumbnail. Mel Brolies, Strength Personified. And there was nobody stronger. I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, been spit buzzing since yesterday's video? I hope so. I have. Anyway, let's see what we got. I have played today, and we'll see what's going on. All right? Nothing. Anyway, double C's and Mahler, Die Meistersinger. How in the world can we talk about Mel Brolies and not do a little opera? As you know, because of his influence, I have had some experience in opera, North Carolina opera, whatever. And I consider him, as you know, to be probably the greatest all-around player that ever lived. And there's no way to prove that. I'm going to put my favorite clip down below and click on and listen to the notes pop. Oh, jeez. Anyway, and the reason why you're never going to know that, because unless you're listening to Metropolitan Opera recordings from back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, you're not going to hear him play a lot of solos. So there's no really compare him to Harry James or anything like that. But what we're here to talk about is strength personified. I do believe he was the strongest player that ever lived. Okay, now, with some caveats. Now, I'm not talking about some guy on YouTube that can blast his brains out. That's not what I'm talking about, okay? Now, I'm going to use a name, and please, I'm going to use it in reverence because I respect his playing so much. And I think if you watch these videos, you know who I'm going to say. Stan Mark. I mean, a tremendous lead trumpet player. And he held down probably the most difficult and prestigious lead trumpet jobs in the world for Maynard for decades. Okay? So I'm not knocking him in any way, shape, or form. I admire him for what he did. Okay? But he is blasting. He'd be the first one to tell you he's overpowering the horn. Okay? Now, for that reason, and the whole Claude Gordon thing that he's using, for that reason, he didn't have the articulation, the dexterity of technique, the beauty of tone, the quality and precision and delicate articulations. He didn't have that. Okay? Not that he needed it for Maynard. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? But the point is, somebody like in that ilk of Stan Mark could probably play louder than Mel. Okay? But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in a controlled situation, centered, pure, even playing triple forte. And he could play triple forte. Even playing at that volume level, still retain the beauty of sound. Now, I do believe he was stronger than Herseth. I do believe he was stronger than Vacchiano. I do believe he was stronger than John Ware. I do believe he was stronger than Phil Smith. I do believe is definitely stronger than anybody playing today in the orchestra. Bataillon could come close. Okay? Now, just unbelievable strength. Now, he was using a Vacchiano bathtub mouthpiece. It was a bored out 1C. I mean, it was an absolute bathtub. And that is the astounding part, that he could control it to that level. Now, he had, I'm going to say, with that mouthpiece, he had a solid high F. Okay? Solid high F. And he'll be the first to tell you, anything above that, or anything above a high C, actually, he would put his jet tone in. A jet tone mouthpiece, which he could go right up to double C's, that would make Maynard just pack up his horn and go home. I'm telling you guys, loud, wide open, freakish double C's. And then, remember, that jet tone was his piccolo mouthpiece. He would put that in the piccolo, and he could play anything Andre could play. He was stronger than Maurice. Now, give me a break. I think Maurice may be the best that ever lived at that genre. There's no question about it. And the beauty, what made Maurice so good at that genre and separated him from somebody like Scherbaum, who was also stronger than him, was his beauty and his delicate and his phrasing and his precision and his artistry. Okay? Which Mel had, but Mel could play stronger than Maurice on piccolo, and definitely on B-flat trumpet. Absolutely. But the strength is off the charts. If you're interested, you should go to an article in the internet by Mark Gould, who sat next to him for 20, 25 years, the assistant principal at the Met. Now, many times the assistant principal would play on off nights, and so they didn't necessarily sit next to each other for all that time. But needless to say, nobody was more privy to his genius than Mark Gould. And you should hear him talk about him with just such reverence. And they hated each other. Oh, they hated each other. But you can't deny his greatness. If you don't like him, I mean, that's one thing. And he tells a story about his power on the ending of Pagliacci. That is just hilarious to listen to him. Hilarious to listen to him tell. But anyway, the power. Now, he was he was not a big man, he was 6'2". He was very broad-shouldered. So if you didn't know really what was, you could say he was just a big guy that overpowered them, but he didn't. He didn't. The tone was clear, and it was just about as centered as you're going to get on one of those bathtubs. Okay? I thought Herseth used a smaller mouthpiece than him. I think Herseth got more center, but he was not stronger. He was not stronger. And as I said, under those conditions, I mean, there are blasters all over the place. There's amateurs in your local high school band that could probably make more noise than him. That's not what I'm talking. I'm talking with the tone, power, range, and endurance that we want here at True Power. He was the strongest ever. Strongest ever. And this is getting off the strength thing, but he was such a character. And his character really put some people off. He was very, very upfront, in your face. I love that. I love that. And a lot of the guys, they just couldn't deal with it, and they went to somebody else. I get it completely. But I love that. I mean, perfect example. He would come in, he came in once, and we had our lessons at the Met. I mean, I would go there once a week, down in the doldrums, the dungeons and everything, what you call them. Down here in a dungeon, Ralphie. And he'd walk in one day, he's got his hand behind his back. And he goes, Maurice Andre, the fat Frenchman, maybe the greatest trumpet player that ever came down the pike. See, he agreed with that too. The greatest player that ever came down the pike. But, Ralphie, could he play the Brandenburg with one hand? Bum, bum, ba, da, da, dun, da, da, dun, dun. And he went through the whole thing with his jet tone, just killing it with one hand down in those echo chambers. Oh my God, the sound. And I heard him play Meistersinger at the Met. Just that. And not only him, but the entire section. Per Brevik, and I can go right down the list. But it just, you could see Wagner, you could see Hitler, it was such a glorious experience in the Metropolitan Opera. Anyway, Mel, I know these young guys have no idea who you are, but I'm going to periodically keep you up front and personal because, man, you are the best. And he did a lot for me professionally, threw me some work, mentored me, tutored me. For my job down in the North Carolina Opera, we went through the whole thing, the whole audition. It was just, Ralphie, you play like that, they're going to kiss your ass. I mean, that was the kind of guy he was. And it was just a joy. But strength, oh my God, strength. Now again, so much of this is subjective. And his tone may not have been your cup of tea. You might have, preferred Harry Glantz or her. I get it. But strength, none better. Anyway, eat and drink your fruits and vegetables and live your life with true power. I love you all.